Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Volcata, and today we are picking up right where we left off. In fact, we are so picking up where we left off that we don't even have time for an intro. So you know what? If you don't know what we're doing, maybe you missed the previous episode, but we're going to get moving and get to the job site. See you guys there. Alright, so here's where we're going to begin today's work, which is at the merger for the new rail station that needs to be attached to the rail line, which is running above us. Of course, it's not going to continue to run above us. We want to bring it down. And that means we need to run this all the way, get over the terrain, and find a good place to connect it up over there. I don't think that's going to be too much of a challenge. It's going to be a fair amount of work, but it's not going to be that difficult. Now, our bigger challenge is going to involve going this direction. So we want to stay just above the terrain as much as we can. Want to avoid all those trees, so we're going to take a turn and we're going to go that way and we're going to go over and we're going to have to connect with that line up there. Let's go over there real quick. So this is the turn that goes up towards our base, and as you can see, we're pretty high up. So this is going to have to come way down, and that ramp right there is not very steep. Now, we can make it more steep, but I like the gradual slope, and I want to keep that. Oops, and I just ran off the edge. Fortunately, we have a jetpack now. Anyway, coming down here is a good idea. Because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring that down as far as we can. And we can bring it down part way. It doesn't have to get all the way down. And we can flatten out and make a turn and then have it come down some more. But this informs another kind of long-term issue we've had. And this is kind of an opportunity that it's going to be a lot more work, but I think we should tackle today. So let me get back up there and over here to that corner, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so after the train gets by, let me show you. We're at the top of that ramp now, and I turn off running so I can stop falling off the edge. So we already have a place where we have gone up ramp, flattened it out, and turned and started going up again. We're going to have to do this down there, but we can get more of a ramp going if we push the top of this ramp backwards. So we have some room to move this whole thing back and rebuild it just like a few more platforms over. That way we can start the slope earlier, which means we can get down farther before we have to make the turn. Now, you're probably saying, well, why would we bother doing that? You know, we can make that turn and make it go down. And yes, we can. We don't have to do all of this. But this comes to another long-standing issue that eventually we were going to need to do this to kind of help solve. So let's go up to the station and I'll explain that. All right, here we are at our home station. This has always been a pain, and I've never really, I think, articulated the problem with this station. But people who have been watching, if they've been keen, they might have noticed that there is a failing with this station. So let's lay out the station real quick. That station right there, that train line, and that train line both are going that direction, while that station's facing the other way. And we have this at other locations, primarily at the hub, the electronics hub, and this isn't a good idea. The problem with this is that because we have the stations facing different directions, we have to have two sets of entrances and exits. Now, we got away with the entrance fairly smoothly on that side. Right, that line right there goes and turns, comes in, and this goes back out, no problem. That's actually all right. But over here, this is problematic. First of all, this line coming in isn't a straight line. And I know you're thinking, well, it doesn't really matter, right? Other than the fact that we are OCD and we try to get everything straight. That's not the issue. I mean, it's something I'm aware of, but it's not the issue. The issue is that I couldn't carry this on cleanly to another station because this has to wiggle back just to make that tight turn. That's not great. And we also have to eat up all this space for this return line coming out. Now, if we had all three of them facing the same way, we could have one line coming in, hitting all three, one line coming out, hitting all three. And that would be much cleaner. Now we are kind of out of space, so we can see as soon as we get to the top of the ramp, we're having to make these tight turns. And this wouldn't be so bad if this whole thing were to be pushed back a few platforms over. So we're not going to tackle this mess today. There are fixes, and I don't really have a plan for how I want to fix this. I have different ideas, but all of them revolve around having some room to work with. And that's going to give us some room if we push all this back a little bit. So I'm going to do that right now, off camera, and we will come back with this whole thing moved over. A little bit of progress here. I'm watching to make sure the train can make it through. So this line has been sort of reconnected, the incoming line. Good. All right, he's not blocked up by anything. Good. As you can see, it's kind of disconjointed here. I found that I didn't really like the way this was turning before, so I actually stopped the descent one block earlier, so we can make a proper 3 and 4 turn. It was a little weird the way it was going, but they weren't perfectly in parallel the way it was. And I'm taking this opportunity to fix it. I mean, no one would have noticed but me, but that's who I am. So I think that this is going to be good. And what I'm going to do is you can see this whole thing needs to be moved as well, but I don't want to stop the line running. So temporarily I've just kind of jumped the gap. So right there, once we're ready, this right here will get deleted and this will get connected to the new line. But that's going to be fine for now to let this keep going. We're not going to actually move this yet. What we're going to do, I think, is we're going to leave this connected now that this has been pushed back, and we will just start drawing our new platforms all the way down and around, and that way we can start pre-making the lines before we actually have to disconnect these. So this will just sink under the line, and so will this one once it's redrawn. So that's right there, it's the one we need. So we'll need to get rid of that, and that's what it'll do. It'll just disappear underneath it. Now, we probably won't draw the line immediately because we just don't have room to, because you can see it's not really clearing much. But we can do that in one big push once the actual platforms are in place. All right, here we are back at the merger to be. We need to kind of get our way through the terrain here, and as you can see, the train's moving on that way. And I did draw down pretty far, so I think that we now can have a kind of alignment point as to where it is, and I am out of concrete. Let me run back up there and go back home real quick and get the concrete. All right, so now we have some concrete on us. I didn't bring the personal train to the station because, well, we're going to tear it down soon. And yeah, we've brought that line down pretty far, kind of to where it's going to need to take a turn, but we don't exactly know where we want it to turn yet. So we need to get this over to there. So whenever I do a ramp like this, I do a 2 wide or a 2 long segment. This is kind of minimizing the amount of weird bending and whatnot that we have, as you can see, going like that. And so at all of them, that's what I do. I do a 2 anyway. In this case, I actually have something to connect to already. But I pre-place the 2 wide or 2 long, and then that dictates where everything else goes. So I think that is going to work for us quite nicely. Get us off the ground. Just a little bit. And then oops, I wanted the straight line. Thank you. And we might have to do a little bit of terrain alteration. Like cut down a couple of trees. We're going to see if we can get away with doing that so early. The turn, I don't think we can. I think we're going to have to... Yeah, we can't get away with the turn that early because we need to flatten out first. Is that even? It is even. Like I said, do these by the twos. I think this is going to be pretty good. We are going to have some challenge with that terrain, but we might be able to squeeze it right through that hole right there and miss the rest of the terrain. I think that's going to be good. So let me get this going and we'll come back. And the path is set. As you can see, I've managed to get it to match up. And as I was mentioning earlier, I always just do a little two length across the change in elevation where it goes from ramp to flat or flat to ramp. And this is going to be a simple 3x3 and 4x4 just like we do before. So 1.5 for our 3. And our 4 will connect on its own. Simple enough. And I was able to avoid train. I had to cut down a few small trees. I think there's a couple more we have to cut down. But I think that this was the only tight spot. I mean, it literally came down right to where we needed to make the turn. But I think we're good. I think we're good on all of it. So I'm going to run all of the rail, and I'll meet you back over at the merger once this side is all done. All right, I think all of the rail has been run. All the platforms have been done. And all we need now is to get all of this to our base, which I have set up just a little temporary train here. Go from the Spire to home drop off. All right, so we're gonna let that do its thing, and we just gotta connect the lines. That's all it is. I even put down some blocking there. As you can see, it's freaking out a bit because there's no actual destination. This light right here is the only one that's green because it's going to a valid station, but everything else doesn't know where it's going. So I'm gonna let this run, and let's go ahead and drop down here. As you can see, jetpack make things so much easier when you're dropping down. As you can see, I've run all the line already, all the platforms, everything is ready to go. All I need to do is disconnect the above and connect the line there, over there. All right, here it comes. We gotta go, 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 go. Come on, get across. Thank you. So I've already connected the other line because I know it's not used right now. There's some overhead. And we just need a 2 length to go over the ramp. Just like that. That other one's going to be a little too close. We can't make a segment that small. So we need to back that up a little bit. All right, and race against the clock. I'm gonna chase it and disconnect the other side, and the whole thing should be live and good. And there we go. That should complete the loop. Now we just need to get our temporary train off of the track. And of course we need to delete all of this stuff. Do as we run. And I'll go back and I'll clean up everything off camera. All of the old track will have to go. All right, I've cleaned all of it up. I was gonna do it between episodes, but I just got going, just kept going. So you can see all of the Skyway track is now gone. And I had mentioned, I think before, that I saw a mod that I installed and never actually used, and I thought I would give it a try. It doesn't count as not being vanilla. Let's see here. It's a train management mod. Okay. Now we have an active, rail line. We can actually call our train to us. Where do we? Let's see here. If we can edit our stations, we should be able to, yeah, timetable. Okay, that's an indirect way of doing it. Okay. Let's call it from wherever it's at to Spire right. Okay. If we didn't mess anything up, then it should be on its way, and we will try to jump on it as as it goes by underneath us. Oh, it's moving fast. Woo-hoo! Awesome. If I could reach the locomotive, I could shut it off. I can get to it here before it... Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're we're at the new station, and so between the last clip and now, I had to do some planning for what we were going to do in this area, and it was time to really do the math. What kind of put it off, and I realized that the math for the circuit boards, the way I was going to do them, which was petroleum to heavy crude oil and rubber, and then the heavy oil to coke, and then the coke and the rubber to circuit boards, was not going to give us a really good outcome. In fact, we were going to have to use a lot of crude, and we were going to have a lot of leftover heavy oil or petroleum coke. And I got to thinking about it, and I realized that there is an alternate recipe that we've passed up a few times, which is the recycled rubber one, that would allow us to use some of that leftover heavy oil, turn it into more rubber, and we'd be able to produce a lot more circuit boards off of that without having that extra leftover. And so I decided to throw down the MAM and to store some hard drives on and do a little montage of unlocking hard drives and seeing if I could hit the recycled rubber recipe. And something unexpected happened. Here are the recipes that we unlocked. Hey man, there's circuit 12. Wait. When did they add this? Oh, come on. No. Oh, this is so good. Good grief. So, yeah, we found a better circuit board recipe. I was so frustrated when I found that. But I found that my frustration in finding that was even more than is obvious, because if you notice in the montage, I wasn't just sitting there staring at the MAM when that hard drive finished, because the first recipe we unlocked was an alternate resin recipe. This one right here. And it got me thinking about that we have other ways of making rubber and coke. And I actually was standing there. I spent probably an hour or more doing alternate setup ideas and math and spreadsheets and everything. And I had come up with a better way of doing this before that third recipe unlocked. It had unlocked. I hadn't clicked on the MAM because I was kind of tabbed out on the spreadsheets. And I looked back over, I'm like, all right, I came up with a plan, and I came back into the window. I'm like, okay, I think the other hard drive is done. I don't need to keep going on hard drives. I had thrown out the idea of doing the alternate for the rubber because I came up with a resin solution that was actually pretty decent. And then I discovered that third recipe. I'm going to talk about that next episode. We're not going to do circuit boards this episode. We don't have enough time to do all of this today. But I came up with, I think, a good solution, and I'm going to explain all of that next episode. I'll bring out the spreadsheet, and now that I've thought it all out, I'm very happy with what we've come out with. But I did have other plans that I wanted to do tying this area together, and that we can do today. I was kind of expecting to do it today anyway. So I want to show you my grand plan for how I'm going to connect the stations to that build area. And I think it's going to be super cool. And in fact, like you see those hatcheries over there, I've left them there because I want them to be part of the experience of transversing from this location to that location. And all I need to do is kind of find myself a kind of a straight path. So these trees are a little bit in the way. Let's just draw a straight line here to see. So that's lining up not too bad. Maybe we can get away with that. Because this is going to be the height of the walkway. But we're not just going to do a plain old thing, a thing like that. No, we're going to do something different. So I want is, I think we'll go with, that is not the wall I wanted. I want this one. I think maybe we want that. And we want these glass frame foundations. We want it like that. And we're going to just jump right through it as if it's there, and it's not. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a under path, because, and we're just going to run right off the edge. We're going to do a kind of path here, and what we're going to do with it is we're going to set up a set of conveyors, something like this, and we'll probably do, if we need to, we can do conveyors on the ground level right underneath them. So we can do up to 4 conveyors this way. We could sink it further down. In fact, I think we probably should, now that I'm looking at the heights here. Let's do singles. And what I want to do is I want to create a path underneath that is going to be conveyors and, if necessary, pipes. And then we're going to have a walkway on top that is also glass. And it's going to be a visual experience for transversing between here and there, because I want to focus on how very visually stunning this area is. And this is going to translate into our walkways, into our buildings, and I think we're going to do a lot of glass in this area so that we can kind of show off everything. So we'll probably do something like this. And this way we can we can leave like the wildlife alive and actually walk over it and probably actually end up spawning bees that can't get to us. And so it'd be just kind of cool. You know, like we tried that menagerie in the computer hub, the computer building. And so this will be a protected walkway that will go all the way to the building and any other kind of buildings. I think we can connect all of them using this kind of setup. And we'll probably paint all these walls to kind of blend in, you know, kind of green like I did with the stations here, so that it sticks with the greenery. And we'll run everything in a glass, you know, setup underneath so we can look down and we can see products passing underneath us. And we can do, I said pipes, but I didn't really mean pipes. We can do, if necessary, like, you know, stacking poles for pipes for tubes. Obviously, that would be too high. So, you know, maybe we bring this down another two. But that is the idea of being able to do something like this. And I think that this would be really cool. Yeah, there we go, spawning them. What's up, guys? Oh, it's a matter, you can't get in here? Yeah, see, this is exactly what I want. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and build a path here and try to make it safe. I don't know if they can fly over. You know, we'll probably put a roof on it as well. And we can have our conveyors to run our products back to the station. And, you know, conveyors, if we need to bring products in to combine, we can always run them the other way. You know, it's a miniature version of the superhighway. And I think this is going to be beautiful. We'll be able to just watch and look at everything. And this way we're trying our best to not cover up any of the splendor of this area. So I'm going to go ahead and run all this for today, because I do know that what we build here is going to be there. I know what we're going to build here. We just don't have time to do it. It's going to be a fairly large build. It's going to be larger than I initially expected. And in fact, I think that we're going to have to raise this platform up a bit, because I think we're going to need to have water extractors. And so either we're going to put them under there so we can look down through glass, or we'll put them over there and pipe it. That's something I'm going to decide on later, and I'm not going to spend time on right now because it's decisions that need to be made. But I want to go ahead and get with this before the end of this episode, and I want to show you this completed trail with conveyors running underneath it. And I'm going to decide whether or not we want to lower it enough to do hypertubing, because we could have a hypertube like coming up out of the floor, and we can't do the entrances downwards, but it could come up and just be up on top, and we can just jump in it and it would whoop right underneath, and we'd sail right along and be able to look. And if we put it just at the right height, then we'd be flying like at head length through this, which I think would be pretty cool as well. Yeah, I just convinced myself we're gonna do it. All right, let me get to building this, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. All right, so that took entirely too long to do. These guys. What's the matter? You can't get in? Huh? You want some of this? Come on, get some. Oh, so great. All right, walkway's done. I made it only one height. I tried it too high, but you know, with the way the reflections go in the lights it's easier to see through the ceiling, the roof here, if I lowered it down. Plus, I kind of like this enclosed feeling. You know, it's supposed to feel like a safe space, and there's something about it being that makes it feel more safe. So I did it, and the tube was a bit of a challenge. I had to do some shenanigans to get the tube to perform right, because the height just wouldn't work out. But what I ended up doing is, you can see right there, I put little pillars, and then I put stands on them for holding the ring at the exact height that I wanted. And this is, you know, I haven't touched this. This is next episode. We'll talk about this next episode. I'm not completely set on whether or not I'm going to stay with the metal siding. I do want this closed off though. I don't want this to be glass because it's supposed to be hiding the machinery. And we're supposed to be able to see down into it when we're on the path. And it just, when you're out and about and, in the environment, I want it to be clean. I don't want it to look machinery. I don't want the conveyor showing. So I do want this to be a closed off wall. I might go with concrete that is painted green or some other, color that fits in with this area. I haven't decided yet. But I also ran power, so you can see there's a power node right there. And so that's all tucked away on the inside on the walls. And as you can see, we ride it. It's just like we're sliding down the path. And that's so cool. Okay, and also, while this did take quite some time, and you can see I put some rails in here and then some staircase down here, what actually ended up taking even more time is this. This massive roof with this metal kind of grating in the ceiling. And the supports and all that. It's I built this and tore it down and back and forth on the design so many times, just trying to get a way that I was happy with it, kind of a pattern that I wanted. And I'm still not 100% on this. I considered having the solid roofing striped, so there wouldn't be glass down this lane right here. It would look like striped solid with glass inserts. And I kind of went back and forth on it. This is the one I kind of settled on, largely because I've been at this for I don't know how long, 2 or 3 hours. I don't know. Just back and forth, and then of course playing with colors and everything. But I'm happy with what I've come up with, and it's not enclosed, but it is enclosed, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to roof this off. It rained a couple of times in game. That's something they added, weather, at least rain weather. And I've seen it rain in the game before, but I've never actually seen rain. Like I could hear it rain, and I could see that the platforms I'm on would get shiny, like they were getting wet, but there was never actual rain graphics. There was no particle effects, and it rained while I was working on this, and I could actually see the rain. So at least in this region, it can rain. And so I definitely wanted the glass roof, and so hopefully at some point we'll catch it on camera or it's raining so that we can actually see it rain like on the roof in here. But yeah, this is great. This is the kind of preserving the nature and being able to run around in it while still being able to do our job, our tasks. And you can see, like I said, the conveyors run down there, and they can go under and come up to stations wherever we need them. And I did a lot of playing with these color palettes for the green on here. I tried several different greens, and I wanted this kind of a darker green because it suits a little bit better with the woods colors. And I also experimented with using concrete windows because they have a duller color, and I really liked those as well. And I was just back and forth on it. I just went ahead and went with these. I kind of needed to call it because it's really late and I've been working on this for far too long. And I am happy with this green. So it might change in the future. You just hit the comment section. Let me know what you think of the colors, what you think of the metal sheeting here. Because again, we can certainly go with, for example, like I said, like the concrete walls with green. So something like that. That's probably a little bit dark. I have so many greens now in our presets. Let's try this one. It's a little bit lighter, and as you can see, that works fairly well with the environment because there's lots of different shades of green, and we could even vary it up if we needed to kind of try to get a gradient. Darker on the bottom, lighter above, which actually the roof, which you can't see from here, follows the gradient as well up there. So I'm going to head back home, and we're going to, I think this is the right one. I hope. And I'll meet you at the house for wrapping it up. So I'll see you there. All right, here we are back at home, and not only are we back at home, but it's also the next day in real life. Unfortunately, as you saw, OBS, the recording software, apparently caught fire and just flamed out on me. And as bad as it was there in the latter half of the video, when I got back home, the recording just really took even worse of a dive, and the outro was completely unusable. So after hours of all that recording and editing and everything, I just had to go to bed. It was 9 in the morning after like a 12-hour session, and I just have to re-record the outro. So here we are. Not a whole lot to say though. I'm sorry for the quality of the ending there. You know, I'll try to pay more attention to OBS giving me warnings in the future. But thank you so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll come back for the next episode when we get back to the Spire and hopefully finish up the circuit board stuff. You know, we got the new recipes, and it's kind of changed our plan, but not our plan for the Spire. It's really given us some new options, and I'm excited for what it is, and it's going to solve some of our problems. We're going to go over that in the next episode. So if you liked it, be sure to leave a like, and be sure to leave a comment about what you think of our expansion in the Spire and our color choices and theming, because you know, feedback is wonderful. It's helpful, and I like to hear from you guys and what you think about it. But we're already wildly over time, so thank you very much for coming out, and I hope to see you in the next episode.